So let's jump in. You talked about operating in a business. Let's talk about the philosophy. I guess let's start here. You had 400 units under your belt and you scaled to 2,000. Like that's a huge number. Like, and you are already a huge operation. I guess, what was the drive to keep going? How are you still finding deals? How are you taking on that additional risk when a lot of people would probably just get comfortable there?
Okay, give me 2 minutes on this. First, I want to be able to tell my parents' story, the founders of the company. My mama my dad was a union painter. My mom was an office cleaning lady in the city. They moved out here from Yugoslavia at that time, actually from Paris. They went to Paris for a few years and moved out here. Had four sons, 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. They're all successful in the same business, in the same multifamily space. So my parents would work very hard. My dad was a visionary. He invested first in Albany Park, was his first building, and then he took a big step in Edgewater in the late 70s, early 80s. And at that time, that neighborhood was in a downswing. It was very challenging. And the big thing they did, and it really was instilled from the get-go, was we lived in the building, guys. We were a part of it. I would play with the neighbor kids. I grew up, born and raised in that Edgewater building, a 72-unit building, and it was just a part of our living that we were ingrained in the community from the get-go. So and that was my parents. My dad was very he took advantage of the market. Because he was involved in the operations, and that's a secret sauce question there, right? Really being involved in operations, and you guys buy into that. And he grew the business up to 400 units. Unfortunately, he had a serious stroke, which forced him to retire, at least physically. But fortunately, his mind is still very strong, and he's been he's my rock up to this point. And he's been very helpful and given me a lot of pointers and these philosophies that I'm sharing now. So that's a big part. So now the question then is this, guys. I get involved in 2003. Yes, I graduated, go Huskies, 2000. Broadcast journalism background. So if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be doing something pretending to do something you guys, I don't know, doing something. We'll see. Something in media most likely. But what really attracted me to the business was first trying to get into this business because guys, at the end of the day, we want to make returns. We get it because we want to be a self-viable business so we can support our families, but we also want to have purpose. And this was something that kind of grew into me, in that what we do is so important. What we do is God's work. And I'm not being facetious about it. It is, especially in the markets that you work in. We're dealing with workforce housing, and the neighborhoods that my parents they were bad neighborhoods, and they lived there, and they put skin in the game. They put emotional, physical, financial, every kind of skin you can find. And that's that's kind of what we have. So that said, I got involved in 2003, but here's the thing. I didn't get involved thinking, I'm going to grow this business. I got 400 units. My parents have done, God bless them. They worked so hard. For the first 10 years, I was just focused on operations. I did not buy, if someone said to you, buy one apartment, I say, hell no, I got enough. I got 400 apartments I got to deal with. And it really wasn't until that 10th year, in 2013, I settled down and got married. Very inspiring wife. Obviously, she settled me down and focused me in the right directions. And I was still very involved in operations. But then I said, okay, I'm ready to grow. And I had a good team in place. And that's another thing that allows you to want to do this, guys. As you scale your businesses, you have to have people you can count on in your team that have the same vision of growth and pushing things. And basically in 2013 is where I started the growth. I bought my first, let's say, outside of the legacy property, 70 units in Edgewater. And we've basically gone through this not roller coaster, but this, let's say, spaceship shuttle from 2013 till now. We've acquired 1,600 units in 8 years. Now, the question you asked my son, you probably going to ask, okay, did I answer your question? I know you want to ask this idea of So that's kind of the gist of the start, all right? Now, you can ask yourself, did I go into this thinking my goal was I want to go 1,000 units? Did I want to do 2,000 units? And if I went into that with that thinking, I'd completely be crashing and burn. Because it's psychologically, it's actually not helpful. And for me, it's not for me because I'm not really hungry. I'm a money hungry person. I have to have that purpose. I have to be able to see this turn into that. Hence success, right? So how I go into it is project per project. So you buy a building tomorrow. If you guys go buy a 10 unit, 20 unit, 5 unit, focus on that project being a success. And then with that, you take the next. Don't look at, I want to accumulate units. I want to accumulate supply. Don't do that. Because you're going to caught, and I have friends and family that went into that thinking and they went upside down. They coughed it up. And that's, so that's something, you just project per project. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up, holy cow. It helps to have a market that's at your back, pushing you forward. That helps. So, but then you have to be careful for when it doesn't push you back. And we had kind of a foreshadowing of it this past year, right? We're still working through it. So, which is probably the most challenging part of what I've gone through. My experience was this past 18 months. So, okay, ask me questions because I can go on a riff for